Do you wait until the last moment to finish certain tasks? In other words, do you procrastinate? Well, a lot of people are struggling with this. And they do this for many different reasons. Maybe they are lazy, or maybe they need this adrenaline rush to wait until the last moment so they have, enough adrenaline or stress to be able to have good enough focus to finish certain tasks or projects. Or maybe the thought of having to do certain things triggers certain kind of feelings like maybe insecurity or maybe incapability, that they believe that they're not capable of finishing certain tasks or projects. Or maybe even because they've had bad past experiences and being confronted with similar situations like they experienced in the past, which they don't want to experience again. Because of that, they try to avoid those situations and try to postpone it as much as possible until maybe it's too late. Or some people even choose to not start or not finish any tasks because that feels safer. For instance, if you don't put in any effort, there's also no possibility to fail because you haven't done anything, you haven't tried anything. So in that way, we also cannot fail, but we do, because when we don't do anything, it's the result is gonna be negative anyway, but it won't be associated with our capabilities or our effort that we have put in. But what happens when we procrastinate? Usually when we procrastinate, we tend to wait a long time before we start. But in this waiting period, we are giving ourselves indirect the signal that whatever we have to do is gonna be such a hard task to do because we are stalling it for so long. So while stalling it for so long, in our mind is gonna believe the thing that I have to do is gonna be extremely hard, which makes it even harder to start with it. And I sometimes compare this with a metaphor. So let's say you have while postponing it, while stalling it, you create this big mountain. Let's say the Mount Everest. I've never been there, but it's really huge, I think. If you are at the foot of that mountain, totally downstairs, and you look up at that mountain, do you feel like climbing it? Do you feel capable of climbing it? It's gonna seem like a really huge task, like a huge journey, to start with. And because of stalling these kind of tasks that we have to do, whether it's for our studies, whether it's house chores, whether it's, certain things that you're not looking forward to, because of you stalling it, it will form this kind of big mountain of Everest, which, you know, you're not enthusiastic about to climb. It's gonna feel like, oh my god, this is such a huge task or effort that I have to put in. Well, it's actually just maybe a small hill. Or maybe just even a small doorstep. But because of us stalling it for such a long time, it will transform into this big mountain. So to prevent this from happening, we need to do we can do a variety of things. On a cognitive level, we need to use like more positive thoughts or affirmations that we can do it, that it's not something that we have to do, but that we want to do because we want to grow. We want to grow because of it, or we want to keep our house tidy, or we want to, be like a productive human being, whatever. But instead of having to do stuff, we change our mindsets into that we want to do those things and that we are capable of doing those. If there are emotional blockages in the way of starting projects, then we need to learn to be okay with those kind of feelings that arises when we have to start things. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's us feeling not, capable of it, maybe it's insecurity, whatever, that it's just a feeling and that feeling needs room, and we have to give some room, maybe sit with the worst case scenario, let all the emotions come out, and then sit through it. Actually, just be uncomfortable in that moment, but don't let it lead your actions in that moment. And also to be aware that our emotions are not predictors of our capabilities. Emotions are valid, but they're also fleeting, and they don't show us what we're capable of. And when it comes to our behavior, we tend to like avoid those tasks. That's why it's called procrastination, because we don't want to experience that uncomfortable feeling. But on a behavioral level, we need to start instead of avoiding the certain tasks that we have to do. So that's more about being more strict on yourself and persistent in that you don't let yourself avoid, but you force yourself more to start. And what can help is just to sit down or whatever you have to do and give yourself 10 minutes to just start with the task or the project, and set a timer for 10 minutes and see what that 10 minutes will do. Because what we then do is we make this enormous mountain that we have created in our mind, we make it smaller by just a brief period of 10 minutes. But usually when we start with those 10 minutes, we are kind of like in it with our focus, and it's easier to continue. So that was my video about procrastination. I hope this has been helpful, and see you later. Bye bye.